Welcome to Dependable Flame, where we explore vintage petrol lighters, ashtrays, tobacconiana, and other useful mechanisms. Make yourself at home. Today we are going to unpackage our most recent eBay purchase. This one from the seller Nonstop Vintage Alley, who has only been selling on eBay for about a year and a half, but sells a lot of items, including many vintage petrol lighters. If you are searching for vintage petrol lighters on eBay, then you have no doubt ran across this seller's listings. So we will go ahead and unpackage this. Now, one thing I did not realize until I was in the process of tracking this package to my address from its origin location was that this seller is located in Oklahoma City. He's got 100% feedback rating, so nothing to be alarmed of there. You see that the lighter was in a bubble mailer and is packed very securely here in some bubble wrap that is taped nice and tight. And then inside of there, he has it packaged individually in a Ziploc type bag, which is perfect. So I would give that an A+ for certain. This seller, Nonstop Vintage Alley, also states in their listings that they will combine shipping. So that is something that is always nice to see, because when you're buying a lot of little items like this, you can have shipping charges rack up in a hurry. Where if a seller is willing to combine the shipping, then you can sometimes save a little bit of money in that regard and make your overall lighter purchases a little more affordable. Now, as you can see here, we have a vintage Penguin Cygnus lighter. It is marked on the bottom as Penguin Cygnus, and I believe also a partial stamp there for Japan. You can see that there is flint dust caking up the file roller up here. Definitely going to need to be cleaned up. And the snuffer is also not seating all the way down. This is an automatic version of the Penguin Cygnus. So when we press on the thumb roller, the snuffer should come up, which it did. It is sometimes easier, from my experience, to get these lighters to close if you will hold that down while you close it. But it looks as though there may be some slop in this particular lighter that we may need to clean up. May need to disassemble this further than I have taken one of these apart before. I've taken Penguin Cygnus, just the regular versions, apart just about as far as you can. But I have never had one of these automatic lighters that I have needed to take apart. This is only the second one of these that I've owned. The other one had very little work that needed to be done on it. But this looks like it may be more of an overall refurbishment. Back the flint spring mechanism out of here. And you can see there's plenty of flint dust that is on the spring, just like it is up here on the file wheel. Now we don't have pressure on that, so it's okay to roll that around. And just out of curiosity, there is a flint in there, but evidence of degraded flint dust as well. Maybe kind of hard to see there on my hand, but there was a little bit that shook out of there. It's really no big deal. If they didn't state that it was a working lighter, then I'm never going to assume that it is. Now the thumb roller flint tension mechanism here seems to work just fine. And whether or not this entire assembly is working as it should, or maybe just needs to be cleaned, perhaps it is the flint dust and other debris that is keeping the well, now you can see that putting pressure on that file wheel, it is not even loosening the lever to let that snuffer come up. So we're going to need to do a little bit of work on this one, it looks like. At the very least, clean it up and get everything working as it should. But I'm happy to own this. I am happy to have acquired it. It is another advertising model for Bay Houston Towing Company. Looks like we will need a screw, well, maybe not. Able to get that loose without breaking off any of my thumbnail. And you don't often see these on regular Cygnuses that are inset into the base of the lighter. Normally you can see them from the outside. There is a spare flint compartment here in the fuel screw, which we will get loose, but it looks like I'm going to need a tool, a pair of pliers or something to keep a hold of that. I'm not able to unthread that by hand. See that it looks like it still has its fuel gasket or rubber fuel seal largely intact, so that's a good sign. And looks relatively clean there in the wadding. So the second automatic version of a Penguin Cygnus lighter that will be added to our personal collection as soon as we get it up and running in proper working order, assuming we are able to achieve that. And if we are not, then this may become an expensive parts lighter. We'll just have to see. But again, I'm glad to own it. I am glad to get this lighter in my hands from just down the road here in southwest Oklahoma City. The seller said in the listing that the lighter still sparks, that it may need flint added to it. It obviously still had a flint in it. It also said that it would work or should work with a proper fueling. And you know, that's one of those things as we look at this clumsy mechanism and the way that it's operating now. I don't feel like I can expect every single individual who sells vintage petrol lighters to understand exactly how every one of those lighters works. So while there are some issues currently with the operation of this lighter, I don't really put that on the seller because they don't necessarily know all the nuances and didn't even list it as an automatic version of this lighter. So there's a chance that they didn't even realize exactly what functions this roller on this lighter had, that it was meant to lift the snuffer and not just spark the lighter. But overall, a cool addition to the collection that I am hopefully up to the challenge and able to get it working in a more reliable and dependable manner. Until next time.